Imbibe the Kool-Aid. That's our show, Don't Imbibe the Kool-Aid, and we invite you on a journey where we take a look at what's happening in our culture, and we examine things that may be Kool-Aid with two tests. That is, two litmus tests we use to determine truth from lies, Kool-Aid that could damage you pretty severely versus the truth. And the first litmus test, of course, is the Word of God itself. The Word of God, what our founders called the laws of nature and nature's God. The second litmus test is really the founding documents of our constitutional republic. That's right, we are a republic, not a democracy. Don't believe that lie. That's one of those Kool-Aids out there. But our founding documents, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and then, of course, the subsequent amendments. And when we look at our culture, what's happening here today, we recognize that things are going in not just a little bit off, but going way off the direction that our founders designed for us as a constitutional republic. And particularly when we look at what's happening among the young. The younger generations have swallowed the Kool-Aid of Marxism by and large. And the issue is, how can we reach that younger generation? How can we reach them with the truth of our founders, the truth of God's Word, that there is a Creator God, that our rights come from Him and from Him alone, and the only reason, the only purpose for human civil government, as our founders stated clearly in the Declaration of Independence, the reason for human civil government is to protect your God-given rights. But we know that Marxism teaches exactly the opposite for every single one of those points I just made. In fact, it would teach that you have no rights except whatever the government chooses to give you as privileges or licenses, and what they give, they can surely just as quickly take away. So the big issue for us is, how do we reach the next generation with the truth of our founders, with the truth of God's Word? And with me today is Hal Shurtleff, the founder of Camp Constitution, a camp that I've been involved with now for, I think it's been 6 years. Hal, is that?
Yes, 2000.
Yeah, right. The scandemic, I guess we call that, right?
That's right.
And this is a wonderful organization and a wonderful week experience. And I want Hal to tell us a little bit about how Camp Constitution got started, what its goals are, and how it is being used to reach that next generation we're so desperately in need of reaching.
Well, Camp Constitution, I'm the co-founder. There was three of us that founded it, and it was right around Christmas time, a little before Christmas in 2008 when it was conceived, and we held our first family camp in 2009. And we've had what they call mission creep. It was just a camp, and then as time went on, I'm now full-time since 2017, and we have year-round activities. But our most important event is the week-long family camp, and this year's camp will be our 18th camp, annual camp, and it runs from July 12th to the 17th. That's Sunday afternoon. Registry start at 4 p.m. when people come in, and then we end Friday, the 17th, right after breakfast. We start cleaning up and clearing out, and it's a wonderful program. It's a Christian. It's not a Bible camp, but it's a Christian-centered camp. That's why we guys like you come around and teach. You know. So it's not a denominational camp, and there's nothing wrong with those types of camps, but ours is a little different that way. And when we say family, we mean family, because when people hear the word camp, it seems like there's 10 different definitions for what they think of a camp. They think you're sleeping in the woods. They think it's a hotel, and everything in between. You know, everything in between. But we use a beautiful facility. It's called Singing Hills Christian Camp in Plainfield, New Hampshire. And if you're interested, you can just visit their website. And we rent the facility for the week. It's again Singing Hills Christian Camp in Plainfield, New Hampshire. The camp is an hour north of Concord, the capital, and very close to the Vermont border.
And a beautiful setting, just
It's a beautiful setting. And
yeah.
we use lodges. So we're sleeping in rooms, and if most families will have their own room, in some cases, if the families have adolescents, they might, bunk in with a group of boys. Excuse me. Yeah. And then sometimes mom and dad have their own room for themselves. So we also have unaccompanied minors and unaccompanied adults. So we have adults that like to participate. And we have usually between 12 to 17, that'd be the unaccompanied camper age. If it's younger than that, if they live nearby, because I tell the parents, well, you're the ones that are going to pick them up if they get homesick. So, if you're driving 10 hours or flying in, you may want to give that a second thought. And we have a great program. We have a program really for all ages. Actually starting at 4. From 4, we call it the Patriot Camp.
For the really young kids, yeah.
Yeah, 4 to 7, and then 8 to 12, and then the older ones would be with the adults, and that's of course where you teach. And we start off the Sunday. We register. Usually they're all registered. They just get their room assignments, and then we have orientation and campfire. And the first full day, you'll have in the morning we have an optional run or swim or both. That's at 6:30. And then we have morning devotions at the flagpole. We do a flag raising. And if they're not familiar with the proper flag etiquette, we teach them how to do the flag raising. And usually somebody's playing reveille on the bugle.
Yeah.
They live that real camp setting, And then we'll have a meal, of course, and then 3 classes in the morning. That would be for the older teenagers and adults, each one lasting 45 minutes, taught by, I would like to think, some of the best people of their fields, and if not the country, around of the world. It includes someone like you.
Thank you, Hal. It's
yes.
It's been a privilege to teach these past 6 years, and the thing that I appreciate so much is that the students. You might think students sitting through 3 lectures in the morning like that might be antsy or bored, but no, I've always seen a great deal of interaction and enthusiasm and interest. These kids are really hungry for the truth that they're learning here at Camp Constitution.
Well, and so we have classes dealing with the Constitution, dealing with America's godly heritage. One of our instructors is one of the nation's top trainers when it comes to active shooters, Keith Hansen of Critical Dynamics. So he does a wonderful class on the right to keep and bear arms. And you've taught that class over the years as well. And,
yes.
We have one, you taught one about the biblical basis for the self-defense.
That's correct, yes. The Second Amendment comes out of the Word of God. Yeah.
All of our classes that we videotape, almost all of them, and they're available on our YouTube channel. You can go back to, I think, 2010. YouTube's come a long way where you used to have to chop everything up in 15 minutes. Now you can just put the whole class up there. So we have Reverend Stevie Kraft. He's our camp chaplain. And he tends to focus on America's godly heritage, the faith of the founders, and he happens to be black, so he focuses a lot on issues, the artificially created racism and the DEI issue. When I say artificially created, racism is something that's going to be with us because of the fall of man. But there are people on the left that have exploited the issue and have made it really a full-time endeavor to promote race hatred among people.
And it seems when the left really have run out of any good arguments, then they always bring out the race card, and if they can't answer the argument that you're presenting, then they'll call you a racist, regardless of any evidence to the contrary.
Not only that, they're having trouble they actually have to manufacture racism. It's hard to find any real racism now. In fact, there was a spoof put out by what's the name of that group there? They did the Christian-based
Babylon Bee.
Babylon Bee, yeah. They had this guy dressed up in a Klan outfit and a black woman from the Southern Poverty Law Center giving him money, and he said, he said it's really hard to promote racism these days. I mean, they actually had to call a news, a pull on the door. The race car driver was claiming that someone put a noose in his garage.
Oh, yes, I remember that. Ridiculous thing.
And of course, the Southern Poverty Law Center has been a funder of the which is something that many of us suspected. So that's something Reverend Kraft teaches. Then we have Professor Willie Soon, who's one of the top climate scientists. I call him a climate realist in the world, and he presents scientific basis of refuting climate change and all the other numerous scares over the years. Whether it was what was the scare? It was ozone holes.
And before that, I guess we were all going to freeze to death. We're all going to turn into popsicles, and now we're all going to burn to death.
Oh yeah, and then it was we were all going to get the ozone hole was skin cancer. Then it was the trees were all dying because of what was it? Exactly. Well, acid rain. Yeah, acid rain.
Yeah.
That was another scare.
Right. Acid rain was another one.
So just how that, and they're always every week there's another article. Oh, climate change is going to kill the tulips. Climate change is going to kill the toads. Climate change is going to do this and this. Well, you know what? I kind of like it when it gets warm, because I don't have to have the heat on. I'm in New Hampshire, and it gets
right. So you appreciate summer.
Yeah, it was in the 40s this morning, so it was still a little chilly this morning. So.
Oh yeah, Willie Sood is a great treasure because he blows apart and using scientific research, not any theories. These are facts that he presents that says they're lying to you. They're lying to you about global warming. They're lying to you about climate change, and on the lies go. But excellent job of debunking all of those lies.
Catherine White is one of another. She's an expert on the Constitution. And she's with a group, her group is called The Constitution Decoded. And then Alex Newman, who is another national treasure. Mm-hmm. Alex is an author, he speaks, he travels around the country, he's got a program, there's several networks he's on. He was on Mike Lindell's network, but I think don't know if he's still on them or not, but he's on several, and Liberty Sentinel is that's his program. Mm-hmm. And he actually does some live remotes right at camp. I says, well, you got a lot of built-in guests right here. You could do probably 24/7 if you could with all the talent we have at our camp. And then we bring in. Sometimes we'll bring in a guest speaker or sometimes a local person, who might be an expert in whatever field. Mary Grabar is going to be here, be at camp, but she's not going to present. She just wants to take it in. She's the author of several books, one of them Debunking Howard Zinn. She's got a new book out, Debunking FDR. Boy, I tell you what, there's a lot of
well, that's a good controversial one.
Well, it's interesting. As a little aside, I was at a homeschool show in Massachusetts very recently, and the Gideons had a table there. And so it reminded me of the Gideon's Pocket Bible that they gave out to the soldiers and sailors, service members in general, in World War II. And I had a copy of a 42 vintage with Franklin Roosevelt writing a foreword strongly encouraging the reading of the Bible.
Wow.
President of the United States, and it's right in the Bible, so that makes him a Christian nationalist, right?
Oh, I guess so.
Which I don't know. I mean, I've been called a Christian nationalist. I have to reconsider that title because he was more of an atheist internationalist.
Right.
But he realized the culture was very Christian, and so he put that in. So I got a copy of it. I got a early 41 before Pearl Harbor. Mm-hmm. So, and he talks about the Bible as being such an important book. And I said, well, here's the President of the United States putting this information, and he had no trouble with putting this in the Gideon's Bible. So that's well. So wait a minute now. You make reference to God, and you love your country as a nationalist. I guess I'm one then. Whatever that they have their own definition.
Yeah, and you wonder what's their alternative. Internationalist atheists, well, that's Karl Marx and Lenin and Stalin and Xi Jinping and all these other totalitarians who don't believe anybody has any God-given rights. Exactly. That's not a very good alternative, even if a person's not a Christian, right?
Or a Christian internationalist, which is some of these I call them heretical churches. They may call them woke churches, but you're flying a rainbow flag in front of your church. There's some serious. This isn't just woke. This is some serious,
that's right.
Serious biblical issues here.
Apostasy, where they have rejected
the truth of right. That's the word I was looking for. So
we're going to have to go to a break here. But after we come back from the break, Hal, I want you to tell us more about what impact we're seeing Camp Constitution have with the students, and what do we hear back from the parents, and we want to tell people as well how they can sign up and join us for that beautiful week in the middle of July there at Camp Constitution. Well, this is Pastor David Whitney with Don't Imbibe the Kool-Aid, and we come to you on the America Out Loud Talk Radio Network, which plays on iHeartRadio Network, but you can also check us out with all the different apps, Apple, Spotify, Pandora, TuneIn, iHeart, and the podcasts are available on all of those. And we encourage you to rate our show and go to Apple Podcasts to rate us. And we'll be back in just a moment from the break. This is Don't Imbibe the Kool-Aid.
Are you looking for healthy snacks, but you've had enough of all the sweet, sugary energy bars? Good news, there's new bars to try. That's savory, crunchy, and packed with goodness. Bear Bars are based just on 6 simple natural ingredients. A certified organic veggie nut and seed bar. That's low temp dried, never baked or fried. Bear Bars are plant-based, gluten-free, and loaded with nutrients and protein. Head over to bearbar.com/outloud and get the exclusive discount just for America Out Loud listeners. That's BEARBAR.com/outloud.
Successful weight loss is about changing the gut-brain relationship with food. I'm Dr. Kelly Victory with the Wellness Company. If you don't like needles, you'll love oral dissolving Tirzepatide RX. This doctor-designed solution works by targeting the GLP-1 and GIP receptors that influence appetite and metabolism. Tirzepatide helps with food portion reduction and satiety while changing how the brain responds to engineered sugars and unhealthy fats. And unlike injections, these are fast-absorbing sublingual tablets placed under the tongue, paired with an energy boost of B6 and B12. Visit twc.health/outloud and use code OUTLOUD for an exclusive discount.
In just 2 minutes per day, you can reclaim your health and vitality and cut your grocery bill in half with one simple, convenient product. Our doctor-formulated Green 85 juice formula's powerful dose of ultra-concentrated essential nutrients stops hunger in its tracks and supplies your cells with what's missing in the grocery store food. It's packed with wheatgrass, chlorella, dandelion, moringa, spirulina, broccoli sprouts, acai berry, beetroot, probiotics, enzymes, vitamins A, D, K, B12, just to name a few. Go to chemicalfreebody.com/outloud today. Get nature's super multivitamin Green 85, empower your immune system, cut down on your grocery bill, and save 20% on your first order.
Well, did you see Google quietly updated its AI principles, removing its pledge not to use AI for weapons or surveillance, a promise they agreed to in 2018. Well, the American people have seen Google's track record, prompting the question, is Google an untrustworthy player in the AI race? Now is our time, my fellow Americans. AmericaOutloud.news. Liberty and justice for all.
All right, coming back for the break here at Don't Imbibe the Kool-Aid. I'm your host, Pastor David Whitney. I serve as the senior instructor at Institute on the Constitution. And our website is theamericanview.com, where you can learn a great deal about what our founders believed about law and government. But this day we're interviewing Hal Shurtleff, the co-founder of Camp Constitution, and Hal, you've been telling us some of the people you have lined up. And I remember the year where we brought in a presidential candidate of all things.
That's right.
The stump speech of Vivek Ramaswamy. Of course, he didn't go on to actually win the primary, but he has played a significant role. I know initially he was part of DOJ, and I think last I heard he was running for the governorship of Ohio and so on. But, it's quite an honor to have somebody from the national stage in the political sense come and share Camp Constitution. Do you recall some of the incidents as why he chose to come to Camp Constitution?
Well, I actually met him because living in New Hampshire, we're the first primary in the country, so it's very easy to meet the candidates. I met him the next town from me. I'm in Alton. I met him in Wolfboro. It was in March of, 23, maybe? 23?
I think that's right, yeah.
24. Oh, time goes by. And he was very interesting. He said that we need to abolish the Department of Education. I said, oh, this guy's speaking my language. So a friend of mine worked for him, and that's how he was able to come to camp. And, we don't endorse candidates. We said that... we told them, well, we don't endorse anybody, but we're giving the campers a chance to vet a legitimate presidential candidate. And he came, and it was kind of exciting. He had Fox News was there. I think ABC and CBS was there. And he gave a presentation, and I think it was about almost an hour, the Q&A session. And we told the parents Yes, the youngsters will ask questions.
Yeah.
The parents ask questions. So one young man, a guy from Queens, he said, "What's the purpose of government?" That was a question. What a great question! And you answered that question when you introduced the show. It's to protect, protect the rights of its citizens, right? And
God-given
that's a
rights.
simple answer. Now, Vivek gave a kind of a long-winded. I thought, well, if I was grading him, I'd give him half credit.
Yeah.
It wasn't what we're looking for, but it was okay.
What I was so pleased with, Hal, is the students who, by the way, that week I have been teaching on the most important question you can ask any political candidate is this: what's the purpose of government? And that the answer must be the specific answer given in the Declaration of Independence to protect our God-given rights, because there is a creator God, our rights come from him, and that's the only purpose of government. So, Hal, I was so pleased with that student. Not only did he ask the right question, he didn't let Vivek Ramaswamy off the hook when the question he gave was he came back and said, "No, Vivek," well, I don't think he used his first name. "No, Mr. Ramaswamy, it is to protect God-given rights." And Vivek went and responded, "Oh, yes, of course." He read the Declaration of Independence, but it really wasn't in his direct thinking. So the thing that blessed me so much is there we have a high school student, if I remember, has been coming to Camp Constitution for a number of years.
Yes, for a few years, yeah.
Yes, so this high school student was schooling a presidential candidate on the form of government and the purpose of government that we have. And that, to me, was just the highlight of that whole week.
Well, you were asking about feedback we get from campers and parents. I remember one young man, he was from Ohio, and we brought in, the speaker was talking about Uncle Sam, the real Uncle Sam, the historical figure, Uncle Sam Wilson. And we actually went to his house at the time it was in nearby, our camp was in a different part of New Hampshire, a little bit south, about an hour and a half south of where we are now. And we took a trip to the house. And so he's in his school, and he went to a public school, I believe. And most of our campers are from homeschool but we do have some from public school. And we always tell them, if you're going to correct a teacher, do it very politely. Don't go up there and say you're a dummy or you don't know anything. You have to be very polite. Even do it after sometimes. So anyway, the teacher was talking about his uncle. He said, well, he's not a real person. And he put his hand up. He says, well, as a matter of fact, he is. And, no, he's make-believe. He said, and so he gets on his phone and he says, oh, my goodness, where did you learn that? Constitution. So I thought that was kind of a fun thing. But yeah, we'll get feedback, and sometimes it's years later. They'll say what a great impact Professor Willie Soon, whose family comes to, his boys and daughter, and he just raves about the influence, the very positive influence. The youngest son wanted to learn how to play the bugle so he could play taps and Rivoli at camp, and now he's an accomplished musician.
Wow.
So there's a lot of positive. I mean, not just that, but other. But I think the best thing is that an example of this young man politely confronting a candidate for the presidency, and that's how we don't want. Having all this information is wonderful, but it's the idea of sharing it. So they go back to their family, back home, in whatever circles they're in, and they share the information. And I love it when people ask me, "Oh, I need to do a term paper. What can you have?" Oh man, there's a question of, I have more. We have more resources than you'll ever need. But please, if it's history, if it's the topics that we cover. You see, so
yeah, and
but
to
also
be
after,
yeah, it's thrilling to see that hunger. Yeah,
exactly. So it's fun. With the academic issues, we also have things that you find at most camps. We have swimming and hiking, basketball net, a Gaga pit. Those are some of the younger people. My youngest daughter, when we were looking for a facility back in 19, she said it have to have a Gaga pit. If no Gaga pit, no camp. And so if you're young, you know exactly what that is. We also have chess tournaments, volleyball tournaments, wiffle ball, and we take an optional field trip every Wednesday at camp. Last year it was at Calvin Coolidge Homestead,
and that's a beautiful site and a very interesting history there, because for me, at least, Hal, of the presidents of the 20th century, he was the best president because he used his veto pen again and again and again. Anytime he saw some piece of legislation that he deemed unconstitutional, veto. And so the historians hate him and they denigrate him, but I think he was the best president we had in the 20th century.
You actually, when you were teaching about when the American Indians became full citizens, it was Calvin Coolidge, and we get to the homestead. There's a picture of Calvin in full Indian headdress. He was made an honorary chief, signing, with some local some Indians. I think they were Sioux Indians. So, that was your lesson being reinforced.
Yes.
Well, when people say about how come you like Calvin Coolidge, what did he ever do? I say exactly.
Yeah, we want a president
exactly
who will.
I like him.
He will undo the bad stuff and won't do unconstitutional stuff. Yeah, that's the kind of presidents we need, right?
This is when people complain about, my congressman hasn't cast a vote. He's missed 80% of his votes. Well, if he's going to vote the wrong way, why don't you miss all of them? Anyway, so for people who are interested in attending or learning more about us and have any questions, first you can visit our website, campconstitution.net. On the home page, you can there's a place for an application, and you can pay through our PayPal, or you can pay with a check and mail it to the address, which is my address on the application. $100 down payment for each person. Now we are a charitable trust, so we're not making money here. We're not supposed to make money. We're not supposed to lose a whole lot of money too, but we're not supposed to make money. We charge for from 13 and over. $300 for the whole week. That's
a bargain.
Meals, that's lodging, meals, and some handouts. We have a camp picture, which is an optional thing to buy. We have a bookstore and a snack bar. That's all, But the basics, we cover all that. And if you're 12 and under, it's $200. And 3 and under, of course, with parents. Don't drop off your baby and come back. It's free, And we do have tuition, or I should say camp fee help available. For example, we have a homeschool family, or family of 10,
Wow.
So we just say, hey, pay what you can and we'll cover the rest.
And Hal, to me, that's one of the beautiful things about this is a family camp. Kids of all ages, parents of all ages, senior citizens, it's the full range. Rather than off of what you see at a summer camp, is the kids go off with only kids of their own age, and they're not going to interact with any older or younger. Not here at Camp Constitution. I love that.
Yeah, and I was involved with a camp that was, and we sort of modeled to some extent where it was teenagers and some of the parents. But this is the problem: a lot of parents have children that are under. They're in their 5, 6, 7, or even younger, and they have teenagers. So they would the dad would come with the teenagers. Meanwhile, mom's home with the little ones, and her teenage helpers are at camp having a great time. They come back home, and we had a great time. But mom didn't have. Mom's in a hot summer. Yeah. She's changing now. So now we take mom. Now she may have to still change diapers, but you don't have to cook for the whole week. And you're meeting a lot of like-minded ladies, And we actually have a program for the ladies. They get together. We do my wife usually does an arts and crafts things for them. And as a result of that, we started a ladies' retreat, which just ended a few weekends ago. And so they get together outside of the camp program, the week-long camp, and they have a great time, great fellowship. And the all important thing too is friends. The most important thing, other than accepting Christ as your Savior, when it comes to your children, is the people they associate with, because bad company will one bad mistake can ruin someone's life, So I like to think that the children that come to our camp are the ones that I want my children. Now, my youngest is 21. He went through the camp program, and they make lifelong friendships. Now, let me tell you about my daughter, Emily. When the Roe v. Wade decision came out, the leak came out, she was in a program. She was running at we homeschooled, but she was running track at the local school, not outside track. And she was making such a wonderful defense of the right to life. And I said, wow, she's making better points than I would. I'm not even going to interrupt. So she's learning something, And I have to say she got a lot of it at Camp Constitution, if not through me directly, through some of our instructors or what have you. So, and my wife too, by the way. Yeah. So this is just an amazing. So it's important to know the facts, as I mentioned earlier, but then you have to defend or make in Christianity it's called apologetics.
Yes,
defending the faith.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we did a class on logic a few years ago, but I don't know. I'm working on a program because it's so important to identify when people are using fallacious reasoning to make a point.
And that's often what the left is doing in all of their arguments, right?
The ultimate one is calling you a name.
Yeah, right. When they've lost the argument, they've lost the argument because then they just turn to name calling it.
They call you names, racist, homophobe. But I actually looked up if there's a term called fallacy, and there really isn't. So I'm going to copyright that. It's under the ad hominem. It's in that same like a subdivision. Is that if you're for secure borders, you're a xenophobe. Yeah. So whatever phobe it is, there's all kinds of, fill in the blank, So anyway, so go to our website, campconstitution.net, and
is the space still available so people could sign up? It's in July.
Available. We have space available at this point.
Because it begins Sunday, July 12th?
It starts July 12th, Sunday, that's right. And we can take registrations up until even a few days before camp, but we always can't guarantee you a room. Now, a couple of years ago, we had a lot more than we ever expect. We had like 160.
Oh, that was after the Tucker Carlson interview, right?
Yes, Willie Soon got on Tucker Carlson. The interview was in 23 in December. They aired it in January of 24, and Willie gave it was like a minute and a half unscripted infomercial from the heart. And Willie he's from Indonesia. He's Chinese national from Indonesia, so obviously speaks with an accent. And he's really funny. He said, "It's a tiny, tiny camp." He said, "But you have to come." And then he said, "We talk about Jesus, but not all the time," which means he said it's Christian-centered, but it's not a Bible camp. And we got, we usually get maybe 50 to 60 visits on our website a day. It's like you think of a little neighborhood groceries, a mom and pop store, right? You get the coast. Then all of a sudden, I'm looking at the tallies with the website. We got like 50,000 views on the way. And we got some unsolicited donations, and that's really targeting the market, because when we had our flag case, which we'll maybe talk about another time, we got loads of media coverage, but not nearly as much of a response as that 1.5 minute infomercial, which you can actually find on our website. Just put in Willie Soon, Tucker Carlson, and we don't have the whole interview, but we have that little segment.
And the website
again is a 5-minute segment of the existence of God, proof of the existence of God.
Wow.
Yeah, and Willie was, when we first met him, he wasn't a believer, but I think hanging out with us, you're either going to be a believer or you stop hanging out with us. That's how it works, right?
Oh, it's wonderful. Well, the website again is campconstitution.net.
Yes.
Right.
And again, if you want to, you can go to our YouTube channel, which you can access from the home page, Camp Constitution, and you can see our classes and activity over the years. And we have a lot of, after the classes are fun, especially how they're, people, instructors like you, make it fun. A lot of hands-on. I know one year you brought your musket, and I'm going to bring my brown vest, but I got
good.
Yes, and it's a replica. It's a firing replica. We also have marksmanship, which is an optional thing. We do shooting. We have Christian self-defense, optional in the afternoon. So it's like a 3-ring circus. There's stuff going on all the time, And
no time for the kids to be bored. There's so many activities going on.
I hate that word. I had my son and a few of his buddies at an event, and they said, "We're bored." "Oh yeah, I went to the event organizer." They said, "These guys are bored." "Oh well." Next thing you know, they got these T-shirts on that says "volunteer." Yeah, you're not bored now.
We got to go to a break here in just a moment, and when we come back, we'll talk about how people can get involved who don't have kids, because you might say, well, this sounds like it's a program just for kids and all. We'll do that after the break. I want to remind you that we here at Don't Imbibe the Kool-Aid are bringing 2 litmus tests by which to test every truth claim that we hear in our culture. And many, many truth claims are pushed out at you every single day. And the key is, how do you test whether they're true or whether they're the Kool-Aid? Don't imbibe the Kool-Aid. And so those 2 litmus tests that we are speaking of are, first of all, the Word of God. The Bible is the supreme law of the universe. Our founders called it laws of nature, and nature's God. And we need to test every truth claim by that standard to discover whether it actually fits with the laws of the universe. So if, you try to balance your checkbook, but you believe the lie that 2 plus 2 equals 5, you're going to have a real problem with your checkbook. So that's the first standard. The Bible is the Word of God. The second standard, of course, is our founding documents, the Declaration, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and subsequent amendments. So we're here on America Out Loud Talk Radio, airing on iHeartRadio Network, but you can get all kinds of platforms, Apple, Spotify, Pandora, TuneIn, iHeart, that you can listen to the podcast. And we'll come back from break in just a moment.
We wouldn't go a day without washing our hands, brushing our teeth, and washing our nose. Well, wait, we wash our nose? Yes, the number one place where bacteria, viruses, and pollen enter the body is through the nose. So the average person breathes over 23,000 times a day. That's 23,000 opportunities for bacteria, viruses, and irritants to get into your nose and make you sick. For an extra layer of protection, wash your nose with Xlear. That is Xlear, Xlear. Xlear's drug-free nasal spray features xylitol, an ingredient proven to block adhesion of many nasty bacteria and viruses and effectively clean, not just rinse like a saline, but wash your nose. Xlear nasal spray quickly alleviates congestion, opens your airway, and ensures your body's natural defenses are strong. Read the research studies for yourself at Xlear.com. That's Xlear.com. Protect yourself from the pathogens and junk you breathe. Pick up a bottle for you and your family today.
I'm Doug Evans, author of The Sprout Book. I want to share something that's powerful. You can grow your own food right on your kitchen countertop. Sprouting is an ancient method that turns ordinary seeds into living vegetables in just 3 to 5 days. No soil, no sunshine, no fertilizer. Just seeds, water. For under $1 a serving, you can grow nutrient-dense packed greens anywhere. City apartments, dorm rooms, off-the-grid cabins. In a time when food prices are rising, sprouting gives you control, abundance, and peace of mind. Join the self-reliance revolution. Go to thesproutingcompany.com/outloud and use the code OUTLOUD for an exclusive offer.
Feeling off lately? Bloated, brain fog, low energy? It could be parasites. These silent invaders that weaken your gut, immune system, and mental clarity. That's why Dr. Peter McCullough and the doctors at the Wellness Company formulated ivermectin and mebendazole cleanse, a medical-grade solution designed to help eliminate parasites and restore balance. No gimmicks, just real medicine trusted by top doctors. Go to twc.health/outloud and use code OUTLOUD for 20% off your first order. Take control of your health today.
All right, we're back from the break here on Don't Imbibe the Constitution. Don't imbibe the Kool-Aid, instead imbibe the Constitution and the Word of God, as I should say, as a follow-up to that. I'm your host, Pastor David Whitney, serving as Senior Instructor at Institute on the Constitution, and the website that gives you many, many resources on our founder's view of law and government is theamericanview.com. Well, today we're interviewing Hal Shurtleff, co-founder of Camp Constitution. We're talking about the impact that it makes on the lives of students who study what we say is the founder's view of law and government, that American view of law and government, and understand many things about the lies that are being pushed at them, the lies of climate change and the lies that that we have billions and billions of years of evolution, and the lies that would reject what our founders crafted and call it democracy, when we are not at all a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. And as we're talking with Hal, it's so encouraging to see the difference this program is making in the lives of young people. And so if you have a young person, I have folks in my church that are going to send their granddaughter to camp this year because they know that she needs to be exposed to these truths because she's hearing all the lies in the culture, all the lies in the classroom. She's getting all this Kool-Aid, well, she needs to not imbibe the Kool-Aid and discover what the truth is. So, Hal, tell us a bit about how adults who may or may not have children, or maybe they've got grandchildren, like folks in my church, how can they get involved, and should they themselves considering coming to camp as well?
Well, our camp is for unaccompanied adults as well, and it's funny. One of our unaccompanied adults, we put her on staff as an assistant athletic director, but she was like one of our most active campers, and she's in her 50s, you know. So, and she has a great time. We have a couple from Maine that have been coming on a regular basis. That they love Willie Soon, and then they started coming to camp. And here's the wife. I think they're in their 70s, and they're singing funny old-fashioned songs at the campfire, so they really enjoy it. And you can also help us financially.
Yes.
And we've for years we've said we've never turned away a worthy camper or family for lack of funds. We only did it once. It was because they approached us a day before camp and we were full. I said, "See, we can't do it this year, unfortunately." But we've done that because we were able to fund that. You know, the camp we lease a facility, and then we have our expenses as well. But we have a lot of people who will gladly donate money to help make a week at camp possible. And also, if you have a nonprofit or a business, I say a nonprofit, a like-minded nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
If you're with Southern Poverty Law Center, well,
No,
we're not
thanks.
going to donate to us anyway.
Yeah, by the way, I'm on their hate list. I was so glad to see that, this lawsuit against them, and we pray that it succeeds and penalizes them severely, because they have put me and my good friend Michael Peruka and another member of our church are on their hate list.
We're on their hate list, too.
That's right, yeah. So it's a great honor to be on the hate list of that evil Marxist.
Well, they're not sending us any money to run the camp program, you know. We could use a few million, but they're not gonna do us any. Not that I could really take. It's really what you call ill-gotten gains.
Yeah.
God won't honor that if I take money from them.
Right.
So I'm sort of kidding there. Yeah, but they have us listed in North Carolina. And a couple of years ago, I called them, and at the time, our camp manager and co-founder, Charlie Everett. And the reason why it was he lived in Charlotte, and he would receive the applications, and so they thought we were based in North Carolina. And I called them up. I actually recorded the call, and I said, "You need to get your hate straight." And I said that I know that the purpose of this is to get your more triggered people to cause harm and mayhem and what have you against these people. I said he's an elderly man, lives with his wife, and so they never corrected it. So with all the money they're getting from corporate, although I think some of it's drying up, thankfully, but they're worth $500 million, more than $500 million, $750 million. They're really fighting poverty, right?
Yeah, they're filthy rich and offshore accounts. I understand a lot of that.
They're not in poverty. At least that group isn't. Yeah. So and it is a badge of honor to be listed on their hate list, because the old saying, if you're catching flack, you're over the target.
That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
and the 1 year that we had people from, tell us about that. The year that some people came from Germany, and I forget, South Africa. There was one year. I think it was the year that Tucker Carlson's interview took place.
Yeah. Well, the couple from South Africa are friends with Reverend Stevie Kraft and his wife. And they're on the missionary field, and that's where this particular gentleman, he was a prison guard in South Africa, I think. So he did for a living, and he has a ministry. So Reverend Kraft, and he came, nice people too. Just love these, and they're not able to make it this year, but they were going to come last year. But the family from Germany that may come this year, they happen to hear really soon. And they came, they spent 2 months, but they came primarily to be at our camp.
Wow.
And then we had a family of Messianic Jews from Texas. Now, if you ask me, where would you find Messianic Jews, I don't know if Texas would be the first place I would go. But I think the wife was a Texan, and her husband was, I think, from the Northeast, and relocated there, and they were raised in that Messianic tradition, Christian Jewish converts. So the three daughters and the wife with their southern drawls, singing. They were singing a couple of Jewish folk songs at our campfire. By the way, we do have a nightly campfire, and every night at the campfire, which is very popular, we have we have a songbook where we sing some of the Christian hymns. We have skits, funny jokes. People play instruments.
I know you're famous for those, right?
Oh yeah, I'm intimate for those.
Oh yes, I like your ones about Stalin in particular. But anyway,
I do tell some Stalin. Yes. Well, see, these jokes were told in the Soviet Union, and in fact, in order to stay sane, you have to have a sense of humor. Whether you lived in the Stalin Soviet Union or if you lived in the United States, you have to. I'm from Boston. I tell people I'm a constitutionalist in Boston. I said we had a convention of Bostonian constitutionalists at our phone booth, and we still had room for a few more. So a sense of humor is very important.
The birthplace of liberty. Almost nobody believes in the principles of liberty there. Sad. Yeah.
Well, I guess 20%. And like Lexington, and you, we have a place, and you've been there. You spent a night there.
Lane House. Wonderful.
Yeah, just a few blocks from the Battle Green. And we also do tours, because we do year-round activities. It's an informal thing, but if people are interested in a walking tour of Boston or Lexington and Concord, reach out to us. And I was supposed to give a walking tour of 50 students from a Baptist college in Tennessee in early March. They were looking, obviously, with a Christian emphasis. I was looking forward to it, and there was a snowy, rainy mix, and they had to cancel. I said, no wonder you guys lost the Civil War. You get so much cold weather, man. I'm just sissies. Come on. So, I'm kidding. But it's hard for 50 people at the same time to duck into a storefront during the rain. So they're going to reschedule. So we do things like that. And
there's a home church or a house church that meets there.
That's correct, on Sundays. Which we started during the COVID lockdown. And most of the churches were closed, and it seemed like some of the churches should have been closed. The ones with the rainbow flag, they should stay closed.
Yeah, permanently.
Yeah. So we do that. We have a speakers bureau. We have a presence at various events. So today, there's a group in New Hampshire called New Hampshire Education Options, which offers parents options to government schools. So it's like a 2-hour mini homeschool show, really. Although there's other vendors, there might be private schools, Christian schools, and then afternoon activity. Because if you're a homeschooler, you're looking for more some activities outside of the home. So you might have they have like a nature group that you could sign up and bring your children to that, or learn how to ride a horse, learn how to fly a plane, things of that nature.
Hal, tell us.
We offer them, of course.
But I was going to mention those resources that are online, Blumenthal resources for homeschoolers, particularly that for Camp Constitution.
Yes, well, Sam Blumenfeld was a dear friend of mine, and when he passed in 2015, he willed us most of his papers and writings and recordings, and we digitized most of them, not all of them, but most of them. His books, his alpha phonics, so you can actually teach not just your children, but teach yourself. If you're having trouble learning if you learn the look-say method, you can go out to our website and you'll see a drop-down called the Sam Blumenfeld Archive. Click that on, and all we need is a username and an email, and you have unlimited access to Sam's archive. We have classes on cursive, basic arithmetic, and of course the alpha phonics.
And you were telling last year about the school in Africa that was taking advantage of this.
So we're Christian nationalists with international presence. We have a school in Zimbabwe, and the principal reached out to us a few years ago, and we donated hard copies of the Alpha Phonics workbook. And I just said to him, well, the only thing I'd like is maybe just a few pictures of the students. So he sent us some video as well as pictures of the students. They call it the Blumenfeld approach, and they're just raving about it. We also have a lady in South Africa who has a special needs class. They have a different term for it. And she told me she inherited the class, and there has been no progress in 2 years. Most of the people in the class had some kind of neurological. They had like an accident. They were older teenagers and young adults. And she said she found our course online, and she says, well, I'll try this. She didn't think it would work. After 2 weeks, she said 17 of the 19 became proficient readers.
Wow.
So we got her testimony, and she and Reverend Kraft, we flew her from Johannesburg to Cape Town, where she had a program in early January a few years ago, where she met Reverend Steve and Edith. And we also have the royal family of the Principality of Bhutan. I thought that was a lighter fluid, but it's not. It's it's north of China, and they say it's the most happiest place. The people are the happiest in the world. I don't know if that's the case or not, but the royal family is using Alpha Phonics. They didn't give us any feedback, but I just, I can see who's downloading the stuff. They say, oh, wow. Yeah. Talk about it. But mostly it's people in the United States, and we have homeschools, and not exclusively homeschool. I mean, there's a lot of people who their children have been taught the look-say method, and they can't read. They'll hey, what do we do? And most of these reading programs, they can be very expensive.
Yes.
And some of them are very good. Hooked on Phonics, I don't think it's that expensive, but it's a very good program. But ours is free.
Yes, absolutely.
So go to our website, campconstitution.net, and click on the Sam Blumlein archive. So you get the Alpha Phonics. You also have Sam's. He's got like 2 or 3 weeks, if you just play 24/7, of audios of his presentations, where he gives a history of government education, where it began, and who's behind it, and what happened, and why it happened, and of course the solution: get your kids out of those schools.
Yeah, yes, and that's blockbuster material, Hal, because most people don't realize that if we were to summarize the 2 goals, the people who founded public education, they're all about making America a socialist nation, the opposite of what our founders designed, and then secondly, de-Christianizing America. And if you look at the school system, you say it's a huge failure, but not if you look at the actual goals those who founded in the 1830s and 40s. They founded public education. Before that, everybody was in some form of private school or homeschool or tutoring.
They succeeded beyond their wildest imagination, because what you see is what they want. Because Sam Blumlein say, if this is, and I think Reverend Rushdoony said the same thing. This is something similar. That if they were making a mistake, they would have corrected the mistake, but they don't have any intention. So what you see is what they want.
When we started the show, we talked about the issue is we've got a whole generation of little socialists that have been trained in the public education, public indoctrination system, I think is better called, but they're trained to be Marxist in their thinking. And how do we reach them? How do we change that? And that's the beauty of what Camp Constitution is doing in a kind of immersive 6 days there in the beautiful hills of north, not central, I guess, New Hampshire, an opportunity for them to be exposed to the truth and recognize that, a lot of the things they've been fed in the classroom are Kool-Aid. They need to reject and don't imbibe the Kool-Aid, instead imbibe the truth of our founders in establishing a constitutional republic, not a democracy, where our rights come from God, not from government, and the whole purpose of the system is to protect our God-given rights. And the beauty is to see, as you shared, that there is a change happening in the hearts and minds of students, and this is what we need writ large. In other words, there's millions of students every year coming off the conveyor belt of the public indoctrination system who are trained Marxists. They really believe Marxism is the best answer for how you organize society, and they have no idea that they've been lied to thoroughly and they've drunken the Kool-Aid. We need to get them out of that. And so, Hal, what you and the leadership of Camp Constitution are doing is great.
Well, I'm on a budget committee in my town, and I'm very friendly with the superintendent, and there's 2 towns the schools fall under, and he told me that the enrollment in New Hampshire has declined 20% in the last 10 years.
Praise God.
And that's statewide. And that's sort of a trend around the country. The Boston Public Schools, I think, 17%. And I recently had a online debate with a local public school teacher who's promoting public schools. And I said, and I'm quoting Sam Blumenfeld, that the public schools is an obsolete, sick dinosaur. And then I said that you're going the way of the daily newspaper and the CD player, right? Mm. And she didn't like it. I said, you guys, you got a lot of power, you got a lot of money, and you might win some more elections. I said, but you're losing. Once the parents start learning, and that was there was a couple of good things that came out of COVID. One of them was parents finally took a little notice of what was going on. And by the way, the solution isn't to go to your school committee and yell at them and then go home. Is get them out of their clutches. Because, there was a little video of this mother coming into the schoolroom, and she rips down the rainbow flag with a map of the world. This is what you're supposed to teach them. Now, that was just reenacted. I said, why would you want somebody with that type of worldview teaching your children whether or not they're flying that flag or not? I said, you don't want to expose your children to this worldview and this mindset to begin with. Get them out. Yeah, we can still have influence. I mean, we donate constitutions to public schools. We've donated this beautiful book on the Forefathers Monument.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're going to have to run here, but thank you so much, Hal, for your time with us. And we encourage you all to check out campconstitution.net. This is Don't Imbibe the Kool-Aid, where we bring you the truth.